Welcome to Next Innovation Podcast. Here with me, the most influential person of this century, the strategist of this century, Professor Henrik Von Scheel. Mr. Henrik, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Henrik. I'm born in Denmark and I'm living in Switzerland, and it's my pleasure to be in the UAE again. I love this place every time you see how fast it's evolving.
You'd like to call you a futurist or a strategist?
Well, people see me as a futurist, but at the core, I'm actually a strategist. So I've been studying strategy for the last 20 years. And part of strategy, my field of study is patternicity. So I'm looking at repeatable pattern that can be used. So repeatable pattern best practices in performance patterns, so in industry patterns, or in leading patterns, right? So value and service patterns. And what I'm doing in this field is that I'm actually looking at the probability and the statistics. So when you do strategy, like I did in Germany in 2008, you look at the megatrends, and megatrends are there for 10 to 20 years normally, and companies had a good time to react. So when we did that, the probability, we realized something we hadn't seen before. We realized that 5 megatrends were merging together. So we called that the digitalization, and it was immediately adopted by the European Union in 2008.
Okay.
And when I was sitting with Professor Scheel and Professor Henrik Hagerman, we realized something quite dramatic. It's not 5 megatrends that are colliding. It's 77 megatrends that are colliding. Wow. And they're colliding over a period until 2050. So if anybody comes to you and says the Industry 4.0, now there's something Industry 4.5, they are BSing you, right? Because the Industry 4.0 is emerging in 8 waves. Okay. And we are only in the 3rd wave, wow. Right?
So we are at the 3rd wave now.
We are in the 3rd wave.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. And you said there are 77 megatrends.
Yes.
And where AI stands there in those 77?
So AI, so there are 17 technology trends. And then the other trends are the regulatory trends, consumer trends, okay. They are global trends, they are workforce trends, right? So because they merge together, they are creating such a big disruption that creates paradigm shifts. Okay. So they're changing fundamentally how we consume, how we interact, our social environment. They change how industry works, how governments operate, and they change fundamentally every state of our surrounding and business. It's so radical that it's difficult to adapt to. And that's why it's actually called a 4th industrial revolution, because these periods have only been there in short times. But this 4th industrial revolution is even more disruptive because it's exponential, right? So when you look at the first evolution in the Industry 4.0 is the digital evolution or digital revolution, okay. Right? We are moving now in 2025 into the bio revolution, right? Okay. The bio revolution is 1,000 times more disruptive than the digital revolution. Okay. But it doesn't mean that the digital revolution stops. The digital revolution continues, so that is creating this compounding effect on disruption.
So bio-revolution is 1,000 times more than the digital revolution.
Yes.
Wow.
Let me come back to you on the AI, right?
Okay.
Because the AI is an interesting thing. People think we are an AI revolution. There is no AI revolution. Okay. Right? AI is a technology. It's like the same like blockchain revolution. There's no blockchain revolution. Blockchain is maturing, and the blockchain is not finished to mature, right? Okay. AI is still in its infant stages, right? So AI consists at the core of 8 core disciplines. And in 2017, the transformers were discovered, right? A major step in AI. I announced AI in 2008. Yes. And everybody thought I was smoking.
Yes.
Right? Because so revolutionary, fictionary, right? In 2016, everybody was afraid that it will take over the work and nobody should work, right?
Okay.
And in 2017, the Google researchers discovered the transformers, right? Most people don't know it, but if you can download the paper on Attention is All You Need.
Yes.
It's an open source on how you use machine learning with software. It's a major step forward, right? So going back to the 8 disciplines, that's the problem we have.
Okay.
So after 2017, I'm working with the universities around the world. Nobody shares research on AI anymore.
Right. Okay.
Because they keep it for themselves, right? Okay. So the 8 disciplines are, the other 7 are being neglected. And they only focus on the machine learning aspects, right? Which is an important part, right? But AI evolves, so it's still in its infant stages, right? Okay. But the evolution we have with AI now would be critical in the bio-revolution.
I see.
So this is why we announced today at the annual investment Congress, we announced the AI investment fund for UAE of 100 million. And the reasons why is because the biggest part of the fund is focusing on having a server and the electricity so that UAE can host their own intellectual capital, right? Okay. The other part is focusing on elements that are not that much in focus, but will drive UAE industry in the future as the key provider for others. Okay. The same way the US are doing it now with ChatGPT and Google and all of this. I want to create a focus area together with you, okay, Hamdan, on elements on bio-revolution, right? Yeah, so having the key researchers and bringing the pharma from Europe to here to do the elements on nanotechnology, bioinformatics, within a specific field of AI.
Yes.
Right?
Okay, that's interesting. Can you talk a bit about your hype cycle?
Well, I announced the hype cycle here at the annual investment forum yesterday.
Yes.
Actually, I have a big announcement next week where everybody can receive it publicly, the rest of the world, right? Okay. But the hype cycle is normally something that you are researching for 8 months, statistic probabilities, where the technology matures, right? So the disciplines, and then you are at the same time looking at the performance it delivers across the industry, and you're looking at the adoption. Mm-hmm. So the hype cycle, when you look at the traditional hype cycle, the word is confusing. Yes. Because it's just a match of trends, mm-hmm, right? So what I was announcing is saying a clear picture on saying, when is the disciplines of the technology emerging? And what are the trends of each of them? So the trends are not the same as the disciplines. And what are the adoption you need to have in which industries, right?
Okay. So you are considering UAE is highly potential. That's why you're announcing, you made 2 announcements. One yesterday about the hype cycle you released in UAE. And second, you are telling about the 100 million investment in AI fund investment in UAE. So what is the reason you are identifying UAE is highly potential for AI investment?
So I have been in the UAE for quite a while, right? I have seen it evolve like nothing else, right? And so Shaik Maktoum, he gave me a couple of years ago the Knowledge Award, which is like a Nobel Prize on sharing for my lifetime achievement for being the originator of the digital agenda of the world, the theme we have today, and the Industry 4.0. And the last agenda on his strategy for UAE is made in UAE, okay, for the world, right? And I have seen the maturity that you have here to actually do something. I've been working on FDI. I've been working on clients to come here. You had the ability, Shaik, to get investors from Switzerland to invest 100 million here, right? Yes. My condition to get the investment in here is that we do it the right way this time. And it's based on 3 things, right? First, you committed me to be exclusive here, to support the government, to understand how to apply it.
Right.
We want to invest in leading edge in biotechnology, in AI. It's an AI discipline. But we want to invest in the government and in the private sector, but in funds of AI technology evolution, but not investing in companies. We want to invest together with the governments and the private sector in what they need, and then develop it with the companies in that direction. So instead of developing a product, we want to develop it purpose-driven, because the core design of AI is purpose-driven.
Okay. So now when we are talking about the purpose-driven, so when we are going to a government entity and when they wanted to implement AI, what are the major things they need to take care to implement?
So let's start at the very beginning, right?
Okay.
So artificial intelligence, the definition I did at World Economic Forum in 2010 with an MIT professor is that artificial intelligence is the automation of intelligence.
Automation of intelligence. So that's very
The
interesting.
question you have to ask yourself then, what is intelligence? So when you look at the government entity, right, they have several purposes. They serve the citizens. They are responsible to protect the citizens. They are responsible to create work for them. They are responsible to create an infrastructure for the business world. They are responsible to create a financial infrastructure so money flows easily, right? And then they are responsible for FDI. How do we attract money from outside coming in here? But how do we do it in a way that people can work here, right? So the intention of UAE has been many years to get people here to build capital, but it's not easy, right? So the way to do it is via AI, because with AI servers, you actually have the ability to capture intellectual capital of UAE and export it also here, right? So that's one of the intentions. So I did not answer your question. So
Yes.
I'm just, I'm teaching, so I'm normally building up slowly. So
Yes.
that's unfortunately how it is, right?
Okay.
So what should governments do? The early stage, when they look at systemic AI, right? Robotic process optimization is something they should focus on top. It's the lowest hanging fruit, right?
Right.
That is in financing, that's in HR, that's in services, all of this. Robotic process automation goes hand in hand with a virtual agent, right? So some of the big providers around the world are promoting virtual agents, right? So virtual agents are the customized version of a service delivered within a specific domain, right? So the government should look at, how do we deliver a service in crossing the borders? How do we deliver a service on taxation, right? These are virtual agents that they're using for that. So they're highly customized, right? Then they should look on AI regulations, right? AI regulations is good. How do we protect the citizens? How do we use it for cybersecurity? And how do we use it for when we are taking jobs away? How are we taxing the CPU of AI to get a budget to repurpose and re-educate the people, right? Then they should focus on shadow AI.
Yes. That was
Shadow
my
AI.
question.
Yeah,
Yes.
you were talking about shadow AI,
Yes.
right? And shadow AI is one of the most difficult parts, because it's called shadow because you don't see it, right?
Right.
It's the people within the government that are using AI, ChatGPT or other parts. So the intellectual capital will be depleted. Actually, AI is the biggest infringement on intellectual capital.
Oh, okay.
Right? But that's just the first four on the hype cycle, right? So my intention here in the UAE is to deliver an exclusive service for the governments to explore how they can use AI, because they should be the first one to do the right thing. And then we will use the 100 million to do a purpose-driven element to build up the industry, build up FDI, and support the governments to be the leading edge in that.
Excellent. So these are the main questions about the AI. Other than AI, what do you think about UAE? What is your feeling about UAE? You are here for now 3-4 days, and
I love the UAE. The heat is a little bit too much sometimes. Now it's getting to that season, but I love UAE, right? I love the people. The maturity on business is very, very strong. You have good companies. You have an ability to get the right resources down here. You have the right research centers. And I think you have the ability to be the leader in certain aspects of AI, right? Remember I said it's 8 disciplines. Everybody just focusing on one. If we are investing the 100 million the right way, you can be just in one the leader for the next century.
Oh, fantastic. Great. Thank you very much. And hopefully we'll do a fantastic job in AI. And the last question about AI is that, is it people are so scared about AI, still people need to scare about it, or AI is for good? This is the question generally you get from the crowd. So how do you answer?
So part of the hype cycle that I'm going through, and I will do that with everybody around that, right? That you see that most of what you hear AI is theoretically. It's not, it's a theory, right? And so the whole aspect is that we are only at the stage of symbolic or systemic AI and narrow AI. So we still have a long way to go. It doesn't mean that we have to be fearful, right? We have to be prepared to retrain, because AI will do everything where we are non-core competence, everywhere where we can optimize, automate intelligence to lower the cost, we will do it. But the human ability to adapt, the human ability to recognize patterns is our strength. The industry 4.0 is by design human-centric, because it's humans that have our ability to adapt. That means most people, so you remember the panel we were at?
Yes.
With all these thought leaders, right?
Yes.
The guy from the leading automotive industry, Dr. Wan.
Yes.
He came from physics a couple of years ago into, he's the leader now in autonomous driving.
That's
right?
Yes.
Then we saw the guy who's leading the AI standards, right? He came from IoT.
Right.
Into the field of AI, right? So this is a discipline where a lot of people came, right? So you heard of all these 8 people that were talking about AI.
Right.
There's only one researcher.
Absolutely,
right?
Yes.
A guy that does it real.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Is AI is overhyped?
And from a hype cycle point of view, so the hype cycle goes a little bit like this, and then you have the performance cycle and you have the adoption cycle. So there's a lot in AI that is hyped at this cycle, right? But as long as you have a clear view and saying, what is best practices? What can we apply now cheap and purpose-driven, right? You can lower the cost, and the cost you lower, you invest in new aspects where you want to be industry specific. So that's how you use a hype cycle. A hype cycle is a power tool where you know which decisions to take.
Okay.
And decisions are strategy.
Okay. Got it. So we end with whether you are a futurist or strategist.
I'm a strategist, right? And so I think you're part of the book that I just published too, right?
Yes.
My latest book, Strategy in the Age of Disruption, right?
Absolutely.
My passion is strategy, and strategy has changed radically over the last 20 years. It's not the same as 5 years ago.
Okay.
Most people you ask about what strategy is, they don't even know what it is.
Okay. So before we end, I have one more question. What is strategy?
Oh, strategy? I think strategy from a corporate point of view is the most important discipline, but also the most misunderstood discipline. So what is the skill we need for the future? Everybody needs to be project manager, because you handle within an organization projects within a portfolio. Executives are actually portfolio managers, right? So what is strategy? Strategy is a set of choices that you take. And you have 3 choices you have to take in a certain sequence, right? Choice number 1 is what not to do. In that question, you have to question, where is it you want to win? And then the second choice is saying, where is it you want to differentiate?
Okay.
So where do you want to compete? And the third question is saying, what is it you need to focus on? So the first question includes you actually, what is it you don't want to do? You deselect, right? You deselect the biggest part of it, right? So I believe everybody has the ability to be a good strategist, right? But you actually have to constantly get up to date. What are the new practices and what are the new disciplines?
So thank you, Henrik, for your time, and really appreciate this.
It's always my pleasure. I have a special place for the UAE, and I'm dedicated to serve here.
Thank you.